Pope Francis wants all educators of the Catholic Church to come together to discuss, to discern, and to share a unified educational effort to the world. And this he calls as a global compact on education. Educating is always an act of hope that encourages co-participation and transformation. The time has come to sign a global compact on education, and with the younger generations that involves in the education of mature individuals, families, communities, schools and universities, institutions, religions, governments of all humanity, says Pope Francis. Pope Francis believes that Catholic education must play a big role in shaping the world today. As all of us are aware that the world is so complex today, education also faces so many challenges. And to face these challenges, we must be unitedly making an effort. And that's why on 13th to 15th October 2022, there was a Catholic Global Education Conclave organized by the USIG on behalf of the Global Compact proposed by Pope Francis. This was the third such meeting on Global Compact organized by the Catholic Education Commission, representing the global network of Jesuit education. Jose Mesa SJ, Father Luis Fernando Klein SJ, and Sonny Jacob SJ participated in this 3-day conclave. There were around 400 leaders of education from various congregations and various institutions from the Catholic Church from all regions of the world attended the conference. Now, it all began on the 12th September 2019. Pope Francis launched an invitation to dialogue on how we are shaping the future of our planet and the need to employ the talents and giftedness of all. The best practices of each and every group can be brought together. And therefore, he believes that all changes requires an educational process aimed at developing a new universal solidarity and a more welcoming society. To this end, he endorsed a global compact on education, a global compact on education to rekindle our dedication for and with young people, renewing our passion for a more open and inclusive education, including patient listening, constructive dialogue, and better mutual understanding. To this end, Pope Francis endorsed a global event that took place on 14th May 2020 on the theme of reinventing the Global Compact on Education. The current meeting in October 2022 rekindled our dedication for and with young people. As I said, renewing our passion for education, for an inclusive education specifically. And Pope wants all of us to contribute to this. According to Pope Francis, every change calls for an educational process that involves everyone. There is thus a need to create an educational village in which people, according to their respective roles, share the task of forming a network of open human relationship. In fact, education must be a combined effort. Community must participate in education. According to an African proverb, it takes a whole village to educate a child. We must create such a village before we can educate all without discrimination and hatred. Because the world is more and more becoming disharmonious. We need to bring that harmony back into society. For this reason, He invites families, communities, schools, universities, institutions, everyone, including government, media, science, sports, artists, professionals, whole humanity to sign a compact on education by committing themselves personally to take the following seven commitments. What are those commitments? First one is to make human persons the center of education. To make human persons the center. The first one. Second one, listen to the voice of children and young people. Third, to encourage full participation of girls in education. Number four, to empower the family. Number five, to educate and be educated in openness to the most vulnerable. Sixth, to find new ways of understanding economy and politics. Seven, to safeguard our common home. These are the 7 points. I'll explain all these seven briefly. First of all, number one, to make human persons the center means to make human persons the center of every educational program in order to foster their distinctiveness, uniqueness, and their capacity for relationship with others against the spread of the throwaway culture. The second point, to listen to the voice of children and young people means in order to build together a future of justice, peace, and a dignified life for every person, we must listen to the young people. Sorry. Third point is to encourage full participation of girls in education means to young women and young girls must get equal opportunity. We must have equity and inclusion in our education. The fourth point Pope proposes is to empower the family because family is the first and essential place of education. In fact, first school is family, and therefore family must be well knit. A loving atmosphere must be there in the family, and mutual respect for each individual and respect for the rights must be formed in the families. Therefore, family is important and we must concentrate on that. The fifth point he says is to educate and to be educated in openness to the most vulnerable means today's world we know the refugees, the migrants, the people who are expelled, the war zone areas and so on, people are simply discriminated against, etc in the name of religion, culture, ethnicity, gender, language, so many discriminations. And therefore, to be educated on the need for acceptance, and in particular, openness to the most vulnerable and marginalized is a big concern for the Catholic Church. The sixth point, the find new ways of understanding economy and politics. I think it is so important. It also invites us to have proper research in education field to understand what is the link between economy and politics and what type of an economy and politics are we following and what are we supposed to follow. To be committed, we must be committed to find new ways of understanding the economy, politics, growth, and progress that can truly stand at the service of the human person and the entire human family within the context of an integral ecology. And this last point is so important to safeguard our common home. To safeguard and cultivate our common home, protecting it from the exploitation of its resources, and to adopt a more sober style marked by the use of renewable energy sources and respect for the natural and human environment. These 7 points are so important today. According to Daniel Ernesto, the coordinator programs of Cathedra Scholas, he says the family educates, the church educates, the sports club educates, the neighbors educates. Every person and every member of the community is potentially an educator and a learner. Community and schools are not separate entities. Therefore, educators must work on the proposals with urgency. And therefore, this 3-day conclave seriously learned from good practices that are happening in different continents, different regions. And we can adopt, we can adapt, we can contribute mutually. Today, there is a need for renewed commitment to an education that engages society at every level. Let us heed the plea of a young, which opens our eyes to both the urgent need and the exciting opportunity of a renewed kind of education that is not tempted to look the other way and thus favor grave social injustices, violations, hatred, terrible forms of poverty, and the waste of human lives. We must recover all these with equity and inclusion. And therefore, the UAP 3 of the Jesuit mission, which is called Accompanying the Youth, is so important today. And Global Compact, in fact, urges us to, to accompany the youth for the future. At certain moments in history, it is necessary to make radical decisions that can shape not only our way of life, but above all, the stance in the face of possible future scenarios. This calls for a pluralistic and multifaceted process in which all of us can work to provide meaningful responses, in which diversity and methods are harmonized in the pursuit of the common good. The ability to create harmony, that's what is needed today. For these reasons, the proposed 7 areas in our education is a must. These 7 areas give us ample opportunities to learn from each other, to work and commit ourselves courageously to developing an educational plan, investing our best energies, and introducing creative and transformative process in cooperation with the civil society. It is time to look to the future with courage and hope. May we be sustained by the conviction that education bears within itself a seed of hope, the hope of peace and justice, the hope of beauty and goodness, the hope of social harmony. I think the Global Compact proposed by Pope Francis is an invitation for all of us educators. It's an invitation to discuss how we are building the future, to renew the passion for education, to train the actors of a more fraternal humanity. It may unleash the potential for specific projects and views, creating synergies and networks. We must face the new context responsibly and work together, says Angelo Vincenzo Zani, the former secretary of the Congregation of Catholic Education. Finally, we Jesuits globally, as a network of thousands of educational institutions, we have 10 identifiers of Jesuit education. Our schools, how to recognize a Jesuit school? There are 10 global identifiers. You can find it in Educate Magi's website, and also our Living Tradition, a book on Jesuit education, and also the upcoming courses on contemporary Jesuit education will explain it deeply. There are 10 global identifiers. I only mentioned these 10 by name, and I see all the Global Compact proposals of Pope Francis can be simply, easily found in these 10 proposals of the Jesuit identifiers. The first and foremost, the Jesuit school identifier, we say, being Catholic and to offer in depth faith formation in dialogue with other religions and worldviews. Number two, creating a safe and healthy environment for all. Third, global citizenship. Fourth, the care of all creation. Fifth, justice. Sixth, being accessible to all. Seventh, interculturality. Eighth, being a global network at the service of the mission. Nine, human excellence. And tenth, lifelong learning. And you can easily find all the seven proposals of Pope Francis can be easily looked at in the global identifiers. We call on particularly men and women in culture, science and sports, artists, and all sorts of people to be part of this global endeavor called Global Compact. We enjoy a space of shared accountability where we can initiate and generate new process and transformation. Let us be an active part in the rehabilitation and aid of wounded societies, Pope Francis urges us. I think these words of Pope Francis give us the direction and necessary impetus to make us relevant global educators in our times. Let's join the Global Compact and work as one body as Catholic educators. Dear friends, this Global Compact is going to be the trendsetter in the field of education, and we appreciate Pope Francis for encouraging, giving us direction, points for reflections and discernment. I'm sure unitedly, the Catholic Church educators will come forth with wonderful, creative, innovative ways to execute this global compact for the sake of the humanity, for the sake of the future world, for the sake of our young generation. There is no other way. Let us take part wholeheartedly and make global compact a reality in our world. Thank you very much, and God bless all of you.